it's absolutely incredible. How can you have, there's a guy who always puts his stuff up about, Oswald did it. And when you put my name in, his stuff comes up about me first. I mean, he's got a bunch of emails, shifted him around, never met me, but he's written 85 or 90 pages about me, okay? And most of it's junk. But people read that and they wonder, well, who is she? Maybe she is, trying to, something wrong with her or something like that.
Well, one of the big things with, President Johnson, when he was recruiting Earl Warren, he had tapes in the White House too.
That's
and
right.
the History Channel did play them once. I remember seeing them probably way back in the 80s, and I was just flabbergasted that this can come out in the open. So he's calling Earl Warren, and he's appointing him to the Warren Commission.
Yeah.
And Warren refuses. He doesn't want to do it. And Johnson comes out with his good Southern drawl. I'm not asking you. I am telling you. You are going to do this. And this is what you're going to find.
Yeah.
So wait a minute. This is like a week after Kennedy's shot, or even sooner. This is what you're going to find. Well, you haven't found anything because you haven't even been appointed to the commission yet. But he knows that his breathing privileges depend on doing exactly what he's told to do. And if he gets away from that, veers off in any way, shape, or form, he's going to get the same treatment that he knows so many other people have got.
Well, okay, we've got years and years, 40 years, 50 years almost coming. We're going to have all the, if it's fancy and it's on with lots of computers and it's on TV and there's music from Danny Elfman or something, the government's behind it. And they're going to give you another song and dance, and they'll say this case can never be solved. That is not true. People who have read me and Lee say, at last, we have the answers, and when you read the book, you'll see what I'm talking about. All the questions, if you know the case, they're answered in the book, and we do know a lot about who was involved in the murder of Kennedy. Lee Oswald, when I first said that that he saved Kennedy's life, they said, well, he may have been, framed and all that, but that's going too far. And I stood alone for years, and then along came relatively recently, just a few years ago, Abraham Bolden, Secret Service agent appointed by President Kennedy, the first black one to be appointed, and very special man, and I love him dearly. And he has come forward with information, yes, in Chicago. Again, we have this connection with Dr. Mary Sherman in New Orleans with Chicago. She wanted to save Kennedy too. Lee was working with her. I was working with Dr. Sherman. You find out that a person named Lee saved Kennedy's life by informing the FBI at the risk of his own life in Chicago, and they arrested 4 men, and Kennedy's life was saved in Chicago. This same young man had been invited into the assassination ring, and it started in New Orleans. Because of our Get Castro project, he was always pretending to be pro-Castro. His work, one of the things he was doing, was finding anybody who was pro-Castro. They were getting their pictures taken when they took those flyers. We even have films of Lee handing out the flyers because they're taking pictures of the people who are taking the flyers and keeping them. And they hunted down a whole bunch of pro-Castro people. Some of them they deported. A number of them they found more information about and watched so they could find more of them. So we had a whole operation going there. And now Lee is on the outside. They say, oh, he's a communist, he's pro-Castro. No, he was working very hard to protect our country from pro-Castro spies in New Orleans.